Good evening and welcome to Newsnight. My name is Joel Senyonyi. Now, on his recent visit to Africa and as he wound it up, Obama did vehemently criticize African leaders, especially those that change the rules of the game, they stay in power for too long and eventually causing instability. This was received in a mixed way, if you like. Some people thought this objection was long overdue. African leaders needed to hear this. Others thought, well, this is the usual big boy bully way of doing things by the US. Which way do you fall? Joining me is a man that people are writing a petition to throw off Newsnight, and Mwenda, CEO of the Independent magazine.
Petitioners, please, I beg you, can everyone sign this petition to end this show? I am supporting the petition.
You're supporting the petition?
Yes.
Okay, so that's finally people can see you off. Andrew, yes. You did write a scathing one. We did see that, Al Jazeera writing, and you're telling Obama to mind his own business. Look, I am one of those that think the US and all these Western powers need to let Africa begin to grow up. We need to grow up and begin to manage our own affairs. But tell me, was there no sense in what this man said? Because look, there's many an African leader that are holding very long on to power, and eventually that's causing instability in their countries. Look at Burundi and a couple of others. This was probably, this is something we need to hear.
I think there was a lot of nonsense in what Obama said. Because you see, the political systems of African countries cannot be picked out of a textbook, or they cannot be copied and pasted from the experience of others. They have to emerge out of our own internal political contestations. Only then, by the way, can they hold. You see, so if a political system evolves organically out of the political struggles of a people, and reflects the actual balance of power between the different contending social forces and the political forces in the country, it will hold. You see, if you borrow an experience from another country and put it into your constitution, but that provision in the constitution is not backed by the actual political forces on the ground, it cannot hold. How? You see, in Uganda we put the term limits. The NRM could easily pay 5 million shillings and remove them. Do you get it? Which shows that the power, there was no political forces, there were no strong political forces in Uganda to support term limits. In Burundi, the resistance to term limits seems to be higher. The country is moving towards civil war, which shows that even if this man rules for these 5 years, he may not amend the constitution to remove term limits. You see, Nkurunziza in Burundi is not amending the constitution to remove term limits. He's simply saying this constitution was written and put in place when I was already in one term.
Look, it's one and the same, because he was still president anyway, so this is going to be his third term as president, regardless that he was voted in by parliament. It's the same thing.
It's a different argument, but what I can say, normally laws do not apply retrospectively. I will give you an example. It happened in Senegal, by the way. President Abdoulaye Wade amended the constitution of Senegal and put term limits when he was already in power. So then, when the constitution came into force, he ran once, and when he tried to run again, the opposition said, no, you're not supposed to run because you had served 2 terms. He said, no. The first term, this constitution was not in place. You see, right now, the law in Uganda against defilement is 18 years. Now, assuming today sleep with a girl of 18 years, and tomorrow they increase the year to 21.
And we seem to be digressing here. Let's get back to the Obama issue. I'll tell you, many who are like you and are apoplectic, you're mad that Obama said the things that he did say. I'll tell you the extent to which I agree with you that, look, we have got to grow up. But you see, for as long as we keep running with our balls to the US, begging, for goodness sake, they'll keep telling us what to do and we'll have to shut up. Andrew Mwenda, it's analogous to if I pay your bills at home. You know, when your children are sick, you run to me, I give you help. Tomorrow when I come to your house, Andrew, and I tell you, move this chair, put it there, you'll not begin to say, this guy is bullying me. For goodness sake, I pay your bills. Joel, so maybe Africa needs to grow up and we come of age economically, then we will not be bullied around.
You don't need to belabor the point. So let me ask you a question. How much of the total budget of African governments, how much does the United States contribute for Obama to speak?
Well, for goodness sake, they said billions of dollars on an annual basis.
Let me tell you, the United States does not even contribute 1% of the budget of Uganda or 1% of the budget of African countries.
That's not true, Andrew, and you know that.
Please, do the calculation.
Direct and indirect aid.
I am giving you facts. The United States government, as it stands today, if you get the budgets of 54 African countries and combine them, and then see the contribution of the United States, it does not add up to 1%.
So why does it not go to China and bully them?
So,
they are an economic power, so maybe that's our problem.
So America does that to Africa not because of the money they give us, not even because we are just poor, because you may think that you can dictate to poor people. It is because we African elites accept to be lectured to. You see, we African elites have internalized the ideology of our masters, the people who conquered us. We think that Western countries represent our best interest. You see, when colonialism came here...
Well, probably the things they say hold water.
Joel, listen carefully. When colonialism came here, it articulated certain views. It said Africans are poor. We need to introduce commerce and trade to remove them from poverty. 2, Africans are under the tyranny of custom and the despotism of local chiefs. These accusations were not false. So colonialism said it was coming to solve those problems. But of course, please listen carefully. Colonialism established, yes, colonialism established a system of domination, racism, racial domination, exploitation, and oppression. The current neocolonial attitude of the Obamas is to use internal weaknesses to justify their external interventions. But do you think America's external interventions in Africa are driven by altruistic motives? Of course, America as a country has interests. I agree that at an individual level, Obama may have idealistic intentions. But if America is to get involved in Uganda, the driver of that involvement can never be the ideals America thinks about. It will be its self-interest.
So we're not saying let's get everything in the US and plant it here. We're talking about points, critical points that he raises that, look, some of the instabilities, some of the issues that we do have courtesy of bad governance, and those are critical issues, whether they are said by Obama, whether they are said by Andrew Mwenda, Joel Senyonyi, or whoever else.
So
point is to the point hold water.
You, Joel. Ask me a
question. We have 30
30
seconds to wrap this up, Andrew.
Good governance in Africa will never result from a speech by any American president. It will not come from the good intentions of any leader. It will come as a result of the internal political contestations by African people. The people, hold a second, the last sentence. Africa will never be saved by anybody except Africans. Burundi will never be saved by anybody except Burundians. So, if you are looking for who is going to save this continent, it is not Obama, it is the people of this continent. And that's what we have to believe in ourselves.
Africans. All right, Andrew, we have to leave it at that. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Newsnight.